Hey everyone, Alan and I are here with Prime Lending. We have Dave Schwab and Curtis Hayden. Hey guys.
Hello.
Well, and Alan and I are getting a ton of questions on how these new lending rules are going to affect buyers, and really our sellers are like, how does this affect us? Because they need the buyers to buy the house. So we wanted to start and talk about and go through maybe like each of the different types of loans and see how it's going to affect. So let's start off with like the FHA loans. So tell us a little bit about the rule and how it affects borrowers.
So right now, with the changing environment that we're in, the FHA and really government lending, they have many lenders are increasing their minimum credit scores for
Mhm.
FHA loans.
But they're
Uh,
not required to, right? Or
no, not a requirement, but it's pretty much across the board, just with risk and things of that nature, just with the uncertain times that we're in.
okay,
Traditionally, it's right around 580 to be a
okay,
minimum score. But what you're seeing now is that score at Prime Lending, it has been increased. The minimum is now 640.
okay.
Um, and then I've heard as there's many lenders that are even as high as 60, sometimes even 700 for an FHA loan, which really would rule a
Yeah,
lot of
they'd be
people.
pushing them into conventional at that point, I would think.
Exactly, that's exactly right.
What happens with our clients or any other clients that are coming in currently in process or coming to you guys with a low score? Like, what do you do?
So we do have something that we do. It's called a rescore.
Okay.
I was doing this even prior to these changes, to where if I have a conventional customer that is perhaps below 700 and they can really benefit by doing a rescore, put themselves in a better situation, we do that. But in this instance, if somebody's coming in at a 630, we don't qualify anymore. Let's look at doing a rescore and see how we can improve that credit score to get it back up above the 640 threshold.
Okay. How do you do that, Curtis?
Well, basically, once we get credit pulled, and like they've said, they're below 640 range. They could be as low as a 610 or 600, but it could be just a matter of paying a couple of credit cards down that they've got close to max or over 50%. So what I do is I take that information and I'll go into we call it what if simulator,
Okay.
and I'll plug in the numbers and play with the numbers, on the accounts. It could be as simple as getting them removed as an authorized user on an account.
Hmm.
That could, that way they don't even have to pay any money out of pocket.
Are you like a
But
math wizard?
no, it's actually a program that
Okay.
shows us all this stuff. But I just know what to look for on the credit report. And like I said, it could be that simple as getting be removed from the credit report as an authorized user. That takes that account away that could be maxed out, and they go from a 600 to a 650
Well,
our business
didn't
days.
it change with the percentages? Because I know like didn't the how this credit score was calculated change though too, or no?
Well, the algorithms are different for a lot of people out there go with Credit Karma, and they think Credit Karma is golden, and
Mm-hmm.
they don't realize that Credit Karma only has like 8 algorithms they use versus a actual mortgage lender. There's over 30 algorithms.
Oh wow.
Makes a big difference, and people are misled by Credit Karma, and it happens on a daily basis. We talk to
Well, yeah,
people,
because
and
you wouldn't really know
yeah,
unless you
yeah.
were going for a loan. Like if somebody has like say they're nervous that they have a low credit score and they're gonna have to maybe pay some things off, like how soon do you recommend before they want to buy a house for them to get in touch with you?
I'd say within at least 90 days, because their
Okay.
credit report is good for 90 days once
Okay.
we pull it. Um, so it gives them some time, depending on how much there is to clean up. I
Okay.
mean, it could be, just like I said, it could be as much of just getting a couple things removed. And at sometimes it could be just getting a $100 collection item. If they can get that deleted, it could give them 40 or 50 points back on their credit.
But like, what if they're in the middle of the file and it's like something popped up and you have to do, I think Dave, you mentioned like a rapid one. Like, how fast is rapid?
The rescore, the rescore is, it usually takes 4 business days, but because of
Oh, that's
everything going on,
fast.
oh yeah, 4 business days is what it usually takes for us to submit. So let's say they have 4 credit cards and 3 of them need to be paid down. They get us a copy of the new statement for that card, and then we send that into our rescore department, and then usually within 4 business days that's back. But now TransUnion is one of the slower ones getting that information back to us, so we've had to add on a few days.
Why are they slower? Do you know? Seems weird.
Just because I'm not sure if it's because their workers are not prepared to work from home, or but that's what our company that we go through is telling us, is that TransUnion is the holdup versus Equifax and Experian are pretty much on top of everything.
Let me ask you guys this. If there was a borrower that was like an FHA approved, but they lost their job so they couldn't close, but they were like maybe like a week or so out from closing, does that file still hold, or will they have to go back and reapply for everything once they get, like, let's say they get their exact job back?
Yeah. So in that instance, you would be able to, a lot of times if something like that happens to where, in these uncertain times, something pops up just out of the blue, that file would stay intact. What you would just be able to do is just kind of rework things. Hey, let's revisit.
Okay.
We've kind of been dealt, we were going down, a certain road. Now, due to some changes, we need to kind of switch gears and maybe take a different route to still
Right.
get to the same outcome. But yeah, that would just
If
stay.
they have like a return date, and let's say it, and they have, like, is there a possibility that they would still be able to move forward, or would they have to wait until the return date?
So that's kind of a unique question. I've never been presented with that. We're kind of in some uncharted,
I know
waters
we all
right
are.
now, uncharted
Yeah.
waters. But I would think that a verification of employment or something to that effect would come into play there. But really, that's this is all just very, very new. So
It's tricky, right?
yeah.
Well, we're
it
speaking
kinda-
from experience
Right.
because we had a closing that was a week away, and they were laid off.
It was like 4 days.
Yeah, it was not.
Oh,
Yeah, we were
these
close.
poor kids. I felt
Almost there.
terrible.
Yeah, I've heard
So
some
what about-
stories like that as well.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about how this all changes with conventional loans. If our clients need a conventional loan, are there changes going on now because of the quarantine and the changes going on with the CARES Act?
So conventional is more kind of AUS, which is automated underwriting system based. So there's really not like hey, we've got a bare minimum credit score now or anything like that. On conventional, what I'm seeing is the changes are I guess if there is somewhat of a positive, in all of this, the conventional underwriting, the automated underwriting engines are giving, they're a little bit more forgiving on giving appraisal waivers.
Mhm.
So that's something I know that's a concern with people. They don't really want to have an appraiser in their home, or, a seller may not be, really comfortable on having someone in their house. However, what's happening more than I've ever seen is Freddie Mac and Fannie Mae are authorizing appraisal waivers that, now we can do a transaction without even having an appraisal done, which, that already was the case. However, it's becoming more and more prevalent.
Yeah, because I remember seeing that legislation passed in like maybe September or something. Is that right?
So it's been there for a long time, actually, just,
Oh.
on the behind the scenes. A lot of times it was, I know we're kind of more focused on purchase in this call, but, it used to be, on purchase and refis, the appraisal waiver would come into play. However, now they're even doing it on cash out refinances. So they have made some changes, but it's been there for a while. but it was just kind of, sometimes it felt like you were looking for just an absolute diamond in the rough. Like there's no way you would ever get one, and then you'd be pleasantly surprised on the off chance that you did. Now that's kind of, shifting gears to where sometimes I'm even surprised if I don't get one.
I actually think that could be a good first call where we dive into the good and bad of what that can be. Because I already think
good.
I'm like,
that's another subject.
it's a totally we'll
Exactly.
do that next time, Dave.
2008 comes to mind.
Right, exactly.
Sure. It's a good thing. I mean, it's usually, in order for that, you have to have, I guess they've learned their lesson from that, because now you have to have, some good credit scores and things like that. They're really taking to where, it's not going down that road, hopefully, knock on wood.
Right?
Yeah.
So then we wanted to talk about the, you had mentioned a TBD file, because we've had an experience recently where it's just the file kept going back to the underwriter back and back, or the pre-approval was not worth the paper it was printed on.
That happens a lot. Sometimes just we're in an industry where some unforeseen circumstance can present itself, just like you were talking about with the unfortunate situation with those customers that were 4 days away from closing. Those situations you just can't overcome. However, we do offer, we do have a very strong pre-approval process, and to take that even a step further, we do have what's called a TBD file, which essentially what that does is the borrowers are completely underwritten. So they've gone through the entire loan process as far as verifying them and their credit worthiness and ability to repay the loan. However, we're just waiting on the actual property. And so what happens is we have a TBD file so that when a client is making an offer on a home, you or any agent can say, hey, look, this person is completely approved. We're just waiting on the property. And so that kind of takes those people and, takes them above anybody that has just a regular pre-approval sitting there. But then it also puts them up with, maybe even a cash buyer, depending on what they're offering versus what the cash buyer is.
So how would, as the realtor, how would we, when we receive one of these letters, what is the verbiage that's used that we would know that it's one of these?
So it would be it would say something like this borrower has been, fully approved or something to that effect. I forget.
And what does that mean that you're checking still? Because I'm sure you still have to verify certain things, right? Depending on how long.
Yep, especially in this environment that we're in, there's always going to be a verification of employment.
Good idea.
Yeah, exactly. And that's going to continue. There's been, and that's something that can kind of change just based on, the unforeseen. But overall, those customers are going to be that do that and go down that road are going to carry a lot stronger approval than the ones that just get a pre-approval, because at any point somebody can lose their job or whatever. But that's another change that's Alan had asked about the changes. These are not just on conventional. This is across the board, but a lot of times what we're doing, and a lot of really lenders are doing this because the behind the scenes investors are wanting this. They're wanting a verbal verification of employment the day of closing. So that's been going on. So that kind of changes things as far as the real estate industry. So, if you have some early birds that want to close, hey, let's close at 8 a.m. might not be the best idea. You might want to say, hey, let's at least push that back later in the morning, maybe even early afternoon, so that we can ensure that we get that, verbal verification and nobody's sitting at the, closing table or waiting on.
But how do you confirm that? Because a lot of these, we do some verification of funds with rentals and stuff, and it's not of funds, but of their job. And it's impossible sometimes to get a hold of these big companies. How are you doing
so a lot of times the bigger companies will be on the work number or something like that, where you can just pop on and verify, boom, we're done. Doesn't even require a phone call. As for others that do require that phone call, what's going on is throughout the process, there's been some contact with someone in, human resources or whoever handles their verification of employment. So a lot of times what we're doing now is we're setting that expectation so that we know, hey, look, this customer set to close on, April 20th.
Right.
Who can we get in touch with, or, to verify that the day of, and
Okay.
kind of
Got it.
expediting that process a little bit,
Cool.
just understanding that we're going to need it.
So one of the things that we have gotten into sometimes as well is our clients will really like a house, but there's one thing that they don't like is maybe the kitchen needs renovating, and they don't have the cash necessarily to close and then renovate.
Right.
I know you and I had talked about some possibilities of that program. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Absolutely, Alan. So we have actually 8 or 9 different renovation products.
Wow.
And those go, you always have your FHA 203K loans and things of that nature, but then we also have conventional renovation products that are really, like you had mentioned, you have a customer that is looking at a home and this checks all the boxes. It's in the school district we want. It's right down the street from this park or whatever. But I can't get over the dated cabinets or whatever, and I just don't have the funds to do it. Well, we have a renovation, many renovations products, but we would have a renovation product to where they could go ahead and close on the home, and then whatever updates that they want would take place after closing, and they would then end up getting the house that they want. And now we've got an updated kitchen. They didn't have to come out of pocket for that, and really kind of takes those people that are you're with the inventory situation sometimes being low, that really takes it and, hey, you know what, now I've got this perfect house, and actually it's even better than if I found one, because now I've updated that kitchen exactly how I want it.
Right.
And really didn't have to pay anything out of pocket for it, and it's rolled right into the loan.
If your family can deal with a renovation and quarantine at the same time,
that's
you're just
the biggie right there.
You're really bound together.
Right.
Exactly. Now I want to talk about my favorite topic, which is remote closings.
Sure.
So I know Dave Kennedy. You guys know Dave Kennedy from Fidelity Land Title, and him and I have been talking about this for a long time. And now it's finally, he's able to be a mobile notary and a remote notary. The problem is not all the banks were accepting electronic signatures on the deeds. So, drum roll.
Yeah.
You accept it?
So a lot of times, so we do. However, what happens is it boils down to the actual investor behind. So not every loan is going to qualify, but I'll tell you what every loan does qualify for is at least a hybrid closing, to where they can be an electronic closing. And then what will happen is there'll just be a few documents that have to be signed in the presence of a notary. However, I feel that this is quickly going to change.
Yeah.
And more behind the scenes investors, like we talked about with some of the guidelines. Some of the guidelines are, we're kind of in a, the young, or I guess the startup phase of all this.
Yeah.
But it's kind of been kickstarted by what we're in. And so the need for a hybrid close or a full electronic closing, has really rose to the forefront. So that's become a focus of, prime lending, and really making the process easy for everybody, buyers, sellers, agents, and even on situations where, maybe it's a hybrid closing, in the situation that we're in, and everybody being very cautious with their health and not wanting to, maybe be in the same room as some people. A lot of title companies are offering, like, basically you almost like how when you order food now, you pull up outside and they'll bring it out to you. It's like curbside closing.
That was our closing yesterday with John Mattingly Title. So the sellers were outside at a picnic table, and the buyer was like with the closer behind like a plexiglass, and she was
Sure.
like wearing gloves and stuff. Yeah. But
got
the e-signature would have been like
That's clutch. And at
1,000
least-
times easier, you know?
Yeah. And
Yeah.
at least, worst case scenario, you could do a hybrid.
Yeah.
And that's available in all 50 states.
Okay. So
with
it's really just the
Prime
lender and whoever's backing the loan have
behind
to.
the scenes. And then it boils down to the title company also being,
Sure.
able, because there's a lot of compliance things and I guess kind of a continuing education courses that they have to take to make sure
Gotcha.
that they are properly licensed to do that.
Yeah,
So,
I think that part is actually new to Ohio, my understanding. So I
Yeah.
don't know. Cool.
so
Alan,
again,
did
it's
you have
kind of
any
in
other
its-
questions? Oh, sorry, Dave. What?
Yeah, so it's in its infancy, but like we
Yeah.
just said, it's something that is becoming a priority, and I think is going to become kind of the norm moving forward.
Technology is going to be crazy here soon. It's going to like
That's it.
advance so quickly.
Right.
Yeah.
Did you have any other questions, Alan?
No, I think this has been great, guys. A lot of great information.
Mm-hmm. Really appreciate it. Thank you. Any final thoughts, Curtis or Dave?
I'll just look forward to hopefully this thing getting past us, and
Right.
hopefully everybody will be more vigilant about washing their hands.
Exactly. They should
That's
always
right.
wash their
Especially
hands.
kids.
Yeah.
The kids, they don't do it enough, and it's kind of like everybody's gonna have to be more vigilant going forward, and I think we'll get back on
Yeah.
track eventually.
Yeah, sounds
I
good.
agree. Cool.
Thanks, guys.
Well, thanks, guys.
Thanks,
Bye.
Dan.
Thank you so much.
Uh-huh.
Bye.
Take care.
Absolutely.